Hi, my name is Lacey. Many of you know me from Transform Ministries, where I traveled for 10 years through Mexico, Honduras, and other Latin American countries, as well as across the United States, doing teacher conferences and teacher training for Hispanic communities. So Transform Ministries, Transform 414, Transformar 414. So if you have previously followed me on my old Facebook and you're now following me now, thank you so much. I'd like to talk with everyone today about Mother's Day. Now, I know all of you moms have had a great day, but I want to talk today specifically to those moms who maybe haven't had such a great day. Those moms who are like me, who have children in heaven waiting for them. Moms who have experienced miscarriages, deaths. Moms whose children have become prodigals. So to all of you moms out there that you know how it feels to have an empty hole inside of your heart, I'd like to talk to you today about God's plan for you and your purpose as a mother. So before I get into that, I'd like to share my testimony for those who don't know me. I was a missionary for 10 years. I started out, I was a missionary for about 17 years in total. I started out as a teen doing missions around the United States, and that turned into international missions. I spent 4 years living in Mexico. I was married at the time to another person, and infidelity happened in our marriage. At the same time that infidelity happened, the churches that were supporting us stopped supporting us because it was the 2009 recession. So I ended up coming back to the United States, broken, divorced, penniless, and without anything on my resume for the last 10 years showing that I had any type of work experience. It was a very difficult time for me, especially because I had been an educated woman who had decided to go into the ministry and serve the Lord. And now I felt like my life was falling apart. I mean, I didn't know a single woman who was in their 20s and divorced. I didn't know a single woman who was almost 30 and didn't have at least one child. As I went through the next 5 years of my life, Mother's Day became really difficult for me to deal with. I mean, on Mother's Day, they talked about moms and wives, and there wasn't really a lot of, there wasn't anybody talking about the moms who had lost children to miscarriage. Now, I had lost 2. So it was hard. And then you had all of the other activities that a normal church would carry on for their for the people who attend. So you had Mom's Day out and Kids Day and Women's Day, but they always focused on moms and on wives. It was a really difficult time in my life. Fast forward 5 years, I got married, and at that time, I was active in missions. I had made the decision in my life that I was going to serve the Lord for the rest of my life, and then a man walked into my life, and God just opened all of the doors. He and I share a vision, and we share a love for ministry, but we also share a greater vision for our own lives. It's been wonderful to form a family with him, but a year into our marriage, this man who I believed I was going to have children with and build a home with was diagnosed with a chronic progressive disease. And the man who I saw who was so strong began to have trouble remembering things and walking and talking. I wondered, God, if you have given me these visions and these hopes and these dreams in my life, why are you taking them away? I had a lot of people who said a lot of really hurtful things during that time. Oh, God is just letting you experience the consequences of what happened. You must have done something in your previous marriage to drive your other husband to infidelity. You must have done something in this marriage that God just isn't happy about, and he's allowed this to happen. Maybe there's some kind of sin in your life and you have to get rid of it so God will heal your husband. It was hard. It was really difficult. And we lost a lot of friends through that process. We're on the other side of, what would you call it? The grief process, I guess. I found a support group of people who, ironically, it's called The Other Side, and it's spouses of people who are dealing with this specific chronic illness. And so it's been really helpful. But there's one thing that I've been struggling with, and that is the grief over the loss of a dream. You know, each of us have a dream, and many times God has placed it in our lives. A dream to get married, a dream to have children, a dream to do something great for God. Whenever I met my husband, I was in ministry, and I believed that I would be in ministry forever. And when God said clearly to me, through multiple sources and also through my prayers, "You're not doing this anymore," it was a blow. God, this is where you've called me. This is what you've told me to do. I think a lot of people were really surprised that all of a sudden I fell out of the limelight. I was no longer traveling. I was no longer making videos. I was no longer writing music. And a lot of people were judgmental during that time as well. A lot of people saw that I had lost hope, and I really had lost hope. And there were more hurtful things that were said than there were helpful. So for those of you who are going through that right now, you've lost hope. You had a dream. You believed with all of your heart that God was going to fulfill that dream. I want to give you hope back today. The Lord promises that nothing that comes out of his mouth will fall void. But oftentimes we in this finite world forget that God is eternal. And what he has promised is not always the exact replica of what's going to happen. His promises are much greater than what we can imagine. He says something and we say, "Oh, okay, God, since you're going to do that, then I'm going to make my plans to do this and this and this and this so that that happens." I think God laughs a lot of times. I know that he laughed at me. Recently, my husband and I were talking, and we decided as a family, we need to be more intentional with the time that God has given us. We have a specific young person in our lives that we love, but we haven't been intentional about including this person in our faith and in our beliefs and in our values. And so therefore, we've decided to take the time and to take the moments and to take the opportunities that God has provided to us and be intentional. I want to encourage you, if you are struggling with dreams being broken, visions being unfulfilled, or just a purpose that seems like it's off track, I want to encourage you with the fact that what God promised will come to pass. He will do it, but he will do it in his time, and he will do it in his way. I'm still waiting to see my 2 children in heaven, and I'm still waiting for a living child in my arms, and God has promised it. I have seen it time and again, and yet I still wait with empty arms. For all the moms out there who are waiting with empty arms, maybe your child is in foster care because you made wrong decisions, and you're waiting for God to fulfill that promise that that relationship will be brought back together. Maybe your child is a prodigal. They've left and they're not talking to you anymore, and yet you know that God has promised that they will come back. Maybe like me, you've lost children and they're waiting for you on the other side of eternity. Maybe your child has died and you're still struggling with wondering how in the world God is going to fulfill his promises that he made about that child. I promise you, no word of God falls void to the ground. He will do what he promised. And it may not look what you're looking for. It may not appear the way that you're expecting it. It may not come in the time that you've set in your heart to receive it. But he will do it. And so today, for all of the mothers who are not celebrated, but who are mothers in their hearts, I honor you, I encourage you, and I want you to know you are loved. Keep searching for that vision, keep searching for that purpose, and keep your eyes open and hold tight to the promises that God has given you. God bless you. Bye.